The invasion of Ukraine and the volatility of the oil market is no excuse for excessive price increases, profit padding, or any effort to exploit American consumers. No one should capitalize on Putin's aggression by taking advantage of American families.
President Joe Biden called out fossil fuel companies for price gouging Americans, but he is apparently doing nothing about it. So, as I'll get to, there are criticisms right now from Republicans that are complete bullshit, that would not solve this problem at all. But there are also criticisms from the left that are accurate, that he is not being asked about, that he is not answering to, that could actually help to alleviate this issue. So let me get to Biden's tweet, where this all starts. So he tweeted out this saying, oil prices are decreasing. Gas prices should too. Last time oil was $96 a barrel. Gas was $3.62 a gallon. Now it's $4.31. Oil and gas companies shouldn't pad their profits at the expense of hard-working Americans. And taking a look here, you can see the gasoline price is staying about the same, while the crude oil price is decreasing dramatically, showing you how you are being gouged. This is what these companies often, they always do this, but especially in a cycle like this, where there is this, big event that happens, they use that as the excuse to raise prices. There is some truth to it in terms of, the rising cost of crude oil. Okay. But when that falls off, they don't adjust their prices accordingly. They let the price of gasoline continue on and then eventually, slowly drop off. Meanwhile, they make huge profits during this gap you see here. So Biden's calling this out. Great. You're the president. Like, I don't know, maybe do something more about this. So I saw this hilarious, I want to share this one tweet. Made me laugh, that gets to the heart of this issue here. Internet Hippo here, tweeting out, "Thank you for bringing this to my attention, sir. I will take action immediately." Pointing out, hey, you're the president. What the hell? Maybe do something. So now, as I said, Republicans are putting the blame in the wrong place. They're blaming Biden because he doesn't have, the Keystone XL pipeline, not pushing that through, or certain, oil and gas projects. That isn't the problem. Even if those were restarted, which they shouldn't, we'll get to, of course, the climate aspect of this as well. But even if they were restarted, it wouldn't solve the problem now. It would take years and years and years for it to have any impact at all on the market. That isn't the problem. The problem is this is a private market. These companies do not answer to Americans or Joe Biden. They answer to shareholders. They care about profits above all else. So this gets to part of what Biden could be doing to maybe scare them a little bit, do something to maybe stop this and actually lower the price of gas by forcing them to serve only Americans. Now, this isn't, the solution here, but it's part of a potential short-term solution. So although Biden floated the idea of reinstating the export ban when he campaigned for president, his Energy Secretary Jennifer Granholm took that off the table almost immediately. It hasn't reemerged in the Russia-Ukraine debates, and U.S. exports helped Europe absorb the sudden cutoff of Russian fuel supplies. But an export ban is not a terrible long-term plan, and since the industry is accusing the government of meddling with production anyway, why not call its bluff and start a real conversation about nationalizing the industry and marching it toward a transition to renewable energy? What we're seeing now is an entirely unmanaged transition unfolding in real time. It's painful, and the future is completely unclear, but none of that has to be true. So the export ban is the part I'm saying it's not, the permanent solution. But nationalizing the industry is a solution and would also help to take this industry under the complete control of the U.S. government and move towards renewable energy. Now, if that is too, for some reason, extreme for you, there's also the halfway measure. So actually, before I even get there, just a little more on nationalization. So it's in which the federal government brings privately held assets under public authority is not the only form of public ownership or direction of industry. The government can assume direction of previously private facilities or, as was more common in World War II, seize facilities and use federal authority to decide what they produce. The government can also buy up controlling equity stake and proceed to leverage the power of its shares. And that last point here is the second potential solution here that I'm talking about. So this has been raised by the Democracy Collaborative's Carla Scandier. So she has suggested a 51% solution for the climate crisis, in which the government takes a majority stake in privately owned fossil fuel firms, winding down production along a science-based timeline and giving workers a dignified off-ramp into other well-paid work, all while muting the industry's enormous influence over our political system. Quote, only democratic government can ensure the planned wind down of fossil fuel production in accordance with climate safety goals, she writes. With room for private profit cut out of fossil fuel extraction and production, the powerful entrenched opposition of the energy sector would crumble. So I know Biden would never even think of doing this, but I don't know, maybe discuss it, maybe attempt to have some impact here on these fossil fuel companies, simply pointing out how they are price gouging people. It doesn't, maybe it helps him politically in polling, maybe if people see those tweets, if this information gets out there, but it has no actual impact in terms of, helping the people that are suffering because of this. So at the very least, he could be threatening these companies, bringing up the idea of nationalizing the industry, just to see what would happen, just to see how it's going to affect the market, just to see what these companies are going to do, what they're going to say. At the very least, try and do something to disrupt this. Because, ultimately, of course, it'd be nice if he actually thought this through, if he actually took this idea seriously, because this would be a real permanent solution to the problem. But in lieu of that, because we know Biden isn't that kind of person, isn't going to upend an industry like this in the way that he should, at the very least, talk about it. But, he's sitting there tweeting this out. Okay, like, you're telling them to cut it out. That doesn't solve the problem.